my beloved child, before you scroll away, before you tell yourself that you're finally over it, stay with me for just a few moments, because what I'm about to say may explain something that has quietly confused your heart for a very long time. Have you ever caught yourself doing something you promised you would never do again? You were cleaning the house, and suddenly you found an old photograph. You heard a song playing in a grocery store, and your heart instantly became heavy. Your phone lit up with a notification, and for one brief second, you hoped it was them, even though you knew it couldn't be. Even though part of you prayed it wouldn't be. You still looked. You still wondered. You still felt that ache. Then came the question that has haunted you more than once. Why do I still miss someone who hurt me so deeply? Maybe you've never said those words out loud. Maybe you were too embarrassed, too ashamed, too afraid that someone would tell you to just move on. But I know you have whispered those questions inside your own heart, because I have been with you every single time. I was there the night you stared at your ceiling instead of sleeping. I was there when you opened old messages you already knew by heart. I was there when you almost sent a text and deleted it before pressing send. I was there when you drove past a familiar street and memories came rushing back so quickly that you had to grip the steering wheel just to keep yourself together. No one else saw those moments, but I did. And my child, I want you to hear this very carefully. Missing someone who hurt you does not mean there is something wrong with you. It does not mean your faith is weak. It does not mean you are foolish. And it certainly does not mean you are supposed to go back. The world has made you believe that if you still miss someone, it must mean they belong in your life. But that is not always true. Sometimes your heart is simply trying to make sense of a wound that never healed properly. Sometimes you're not longing for the person. You're longing for the version of them you believed they could become. The version that kept their promises. The version that chose you. The version that made you feel safe. The version that existed in your hopes, but not in your reality. That is why letting go has been so painful, because you haven't only been grieving a person, you've been grieving the future you imagined with them, the conversations that never happened, the apologies that never came, the life you thought you were building, the family you pictured, the memories that were supposed to exist, but never did. My child, that kind of grief is real, and I will never pretend it isn't. I know there are days when you feel strong, you laugh, you work, you smile. You tell yourself you're finally moving forward, then without warning, one smell, one place, one familiar song, one birthday, one holiday, one empty chair, and suddenly it feels as though the wound opened all over again. You become frustrated with yourself. You wonder, why am I still here? Why can't I just forget? Why does this still hurt after all this time? Listen to me. Do not condemn yourself for a heart that was created to love deeply. The ability to love was never your weakness. The pain came because someone mishandled the love you were willing to give. Those are not the same thing. And today, I did not bring you here to reopen your wound. I brought you here because I want to begin healing it in a way you may never have understood before. Stay with me, because before this message is over, you will discover why your heart keeps looking backward, even when your future is waiting in front of you. My dear child, there is something I want you to understand today, something that may finally bring peace to a question you've carried for far too long. The reason you still miss them is not always because you still love them. Sometimes, it's because your heart never received a proper goodbye. Think about what really happened. One day they were part of your everyday life. You expected their message every morning. You knew what their voice sounded like when they laughed. You shared meals, dreams, plans, simple moments that felt ordinary back then. But now you would give anything just to experience one of them again. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The calls became silence. The conversations ended. The chair across the table stayed empty. The house became quieter than it had ever been. Your routine changed overnight, but your heart didn't change that quickly. Your heart kept waking up, expecting what no longer existed. It kept reaching for someone who was no longer there. That doesn't make you weak. That's how love grieves. I have watched people walk through the same grocery store they once visited together, only to avoid an entire aisle because the memories hurt too much. I have seen people keep a voicemail they haven't played in years, yet refuse to delete it. Not because they believe that person is coming back, but because letting go of the message feels like letting go of the last piece of them. I have seen someone stop at a traffic light, look at the empty passenger seat, and suddenly remember hundreds of ordinary drives they never realized would become precious memories. These are not strange things. These are the quiet places where grief hides. And perhaps you've asked yourself, if they treated me so badly, why do I still remember the good moments? Because your heart was never designed to collect only painful memories. It remembers birthdays, road trips, the first time they held your hand, the jokes that made you laugh until your stomach hurt, the moments when you believed everything was going to be okay. Those memories are real, but my child, they are not the whole story. Your heart has a habit of replaying the beautiful scenes while quietly skipping over the nights you cried yourself to sleep. It remembers the flowers, but forgets the broken promises. It remembers the hugs, but forgets how many times you felt alone while standing right beside them. It remembers the apology, but forgets that the same wound kept happening again and again. The enemy often uses selective memory to make yesterday look safer than it really was. He wants you to believe that going backward will heal your loneliness. But loneliness has never been healed by returning to the place where your peace was repeatedly taken away. Listen carefully. If someone made you feel as though you had to beg for love, that was not the life I desired for you. If you spent more nights crying than smiling, that was not my best for you. If you constantly wondered whether you were enough, whether they still loved you, whether they would leave again, that constant fear was never the peace I promised my children. I know there are moments when your heart whispers, maybe they've changed. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe I gave up too soon. But before you believe those whispers, I want you to remember something else. Remember the nights you prayed for strength because you couldn't take another argument. Remember how exhausted you became trying to fix a relationship that only one person was fighting for. Remember how small you began to feel. Remember how often you begged me simply to give you enough peace to make it through another day. Do not allow today's loneliness to rewrite yesterday's truth, because healing cannot begin if pain is constantly being edited into nostalgia. Stay with me, because there is a deeper reason your heart keeps looking back, and once you understand it, you will stop blaming yourself for what you've been feeling. My beloved child, now I want to show you something that may change the way you see your own heart, because for a long time, you've believed you were missing them. But are you? Let's slow down together. When you close your eyes and think about that person, what do you actually miss? Do you miss the nights you cried because they ignored you? Do you miss wondering why your calls went unanswered? Do you miss checking your phone over and over, only to find nothing? Do you miss apologizing for things that were never your fault? Do you miss feeling like you had to earn love that should have been given freely? No, of course you don't. So what is it that hurts? You miss the morning they looked at you with kindness. You miss believing someone had finally chosen you. You miss the excitement of planning a future together. You miss the feeling that someone would always be there. You miss laughing without worrying that tomorrow everything would fall apart. You miss feeling safe. Do you see the difference? You are not longing for the pain. You are longing for peace. You are not longing for rejection. You are longing to be loved. You are not longing to be wounded again. You are longing for the life you hoped was waiting for you. That is why your heart feels so confused, because it keeps mixing the dream with the person. Imagine someone giving you a beautiful wrapped gift. The paper is elegant. The ribbon is perfect. You hold it carefully because you believe something wonderful is inside. But when you finally open it, the box is empty. Days later, what do you find yourself missing? The empty box or the beautiful gift you believed was inside? My child, many people spend years trying to get the empty box back, when what they were truly searching for never existed inside it. That is what your heart has been doing. You weren't only loving a person, you were loving the future you imagined with them. You imagined growing old together, sharing holidays, holding grandchildren, watching sunsets on a quiet porch, growing closer with every passing year. Those dreams were precious, and when the relationship ended, those dreams seemed to disappear too. That loss is real. I know it. I have counted every tear you cried over dreams that never came to life. But listen to me carefully. Just because that future ended does not mean your future ended. One person walking away cannot cancel the plans I have prepared for your life. One broken relationship cannot destroy the purpose I created you for. One painful goodbye cannot erase the love I still have waiting ahead of you. Do not confuse a closed door with the end of the journey. Some doors close because I refuse to let my child spend the rest of their life in a room that keeps breaking their heart. You have asked me many times, why didn't you stop them from leaving? My child, there are moments when losing someone feels like punishment, but years later, you discover it was protection. Not because losing them didn't hurt. It did. Not because you wanted it. You didn't. But because I could see every tomorrow while you could only see today. I saw the nights you would continue crying. I saw the trust that would continue breaking. I saw the loneliness you would continue carrying even if they had stayed. So when you look back, do not only remember what you lost, also remember what I may have been protecting you from. Stay with me. Because there is one final truth your heart needs to hear. And once you receive it, you will finally understand why letting go is not the same as losing love forever. My beloved child, there is one lie that has quietly kept your heart in chains. It sounds gentle, it even sounds loving, but it has been stealing your peace. The lie says, if I let them go, it means they never mattered. So you hold on, not because you're happy, not because you're healing, but because you're afraid that moving forward will somehow erase the love you once shared. I want you to hear me carefully. Healing does not erase love. Healing simply removes the chains that pain wrapped around it. You do not dishonor someone by choosing peace. You do not betray your memories by refusing to live inside them forever. Think about your own home. If a window shatters during a storm, you don't leave the broken glass on the floor to prove the window once existed. You clean it. You replace it. Not because the window meant nothing, but because you cannot safely live among shattered pieces forever. Some of you have been walking barefoot through broken memories for years. Every day, another piece cuts your heart. Every birthday, every anniversary, every holiday, every familiar place. You tell yourself, I'm fine, but deep inside, you're still bleeding. My child, I never asked you to build your life around what broke you. I came to bind up the broken-hearted, not to leave them living among the ruins. I know you've wondered, if I stop thinking about them, will I forget them? Maybe you've kept old pictures, old letters, a jacket hanging in the closet, a coffee mug you never use, a birthday card hidden inside a drawer. Not because you need those things, but because you're afraid that letting go of them means letting go of the person forever. Listen to me. Love is not stored inside a photograph. Love is not trapped inside an old message. Love does not live inside a box tucked away in the attic. Those things are reminders. They are not the relationship itself. And they are certainly not your future. Some of you have become caretakers of a museum that I never asked you to maintain. You walk through the same memories every day, dusting them, protecting them, visiting them, while the life I have prepared for you waits outside the door. My child, you cannot receive today's blessings if both of your hands are still clutching yesterday. I am not asking you to pretend the past never happened. I am asking you to stop living there, because I did not create you to survive on memories. I created you to live, to laugh again, to trust again, to wake up without that heavy feeling sitting on your chest, to hear a song and smile instead of breaking down, to pass that familiar restaurant without feeling your heart sink, to look at your phone without secretly hoping for a message that may never come. That day is possible, not because time heals everything, but because I heal hearts that are willing to place their pain into my hands. You have carried this weight for so long that it has begun to feel normal, but constant sorrow was never meant to become your identity. You are not the one who was abandoned. You are not the one who was betrayed. You are not the one nobody stayed for. Those moments happened to you. They are not who you are. I call you something different. I call you mine. And when your identity comes from me, you no longer have to chase people just to feel valuable. You no longer have to beg someone to stay, because you already belong to the one who will never leave you. So today, I am asking you to do something that may feel impossible. Open your hands, not because the past was meaningless, but because I have something living to place where you've been holding something that is already gone. Stay with me just a little longer, because before we finish, I want to pray over the deepest part of your heart, the place that has quietly whispered for years, I just don't know how to let go. My beloved child, before you leave, I don't want you to carry this pain by yourself one more day. You've carried it long enough. You've smiled when people asked if you were okay. You've said, I'm doing better, while your heart quietly answered, not really. You've learned how to hide the tears, how to change the subject, how to pretend certain names no longer affect you. But you never had to hide those tears from me. I saw every one of them, even the tears that never fell, the ones you swallowed because you didn't want your children to worry, the ones you held back while sitting alone in your car, the ones that filled your eyes just before you fell asleep. I saw them all, and I have never looked at you with disappointment, only with compassion. So right now, stop trying to be strong for just a moment. Let me be your strength. Take a slow breath. Wherever you are, whether you're sitting in your living room, driving home, walking outside, or lying awake late at night, I want you to pray with me. My child, you don't need perfect words. You only need an honest heart. Say this with me. Father, you know the name I still struggle to forget. You know the memories that still find me when I least expect them. You know the dreams I buried, the questions I never found answers to, the goodbye I never wanted. Today, I place all of it into your hands. Heal the places I cannot heal by myself. Teach my heart to stop chasing what you have already released. Give me peace where there has been confusion. Give me courage where there has been fear. Help me stop looking behind me when you are leading me forward, and when I begin to miss them again, remind me that I am never missing you. Amen. My precious child, as you whispered those words, you may not have felt everything change. That is okay. Healing is often quieter than the wound. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. A broken bone doesn't become strong in a single day. And a wounded heart rarely heals all at once. But healing has begun, not because of your strength, but because you finally placed your pain where it belongs, in my hands. So the next time that old memory returns, do not panic. Do not tell yourself you've gone backward. Instead, pause, take a breath, and remember what I told you today. Missing someone does not mean you are meant to return to them. It simply means your heart is still learning to let go. And every time you choose me instead of the past, you are taking another step toward freedom. One day, you'll hear that old song, and instead of crying, you'll quietly smile, because you'll remember how faithfully I carried you through. One day, you'll drive past that familiar place, and it will no longer steal your peace. One day, you'll wake up and realize they were no longer the first thought on your mind, not because they suddenly became unimportant, but because I became greater than your pain. That day is coming. Believe me, I have never abandoned the work I began in your heart, so keep walking with me, one step, one prayer, one day at a time. And before you go, if this message spoke directly to your heart, I want you to leave one simple word in the comments: healing. Not for me, but as a declaration that you are choosing to stop living inside yesterday and start trusting me with tomorrow. And if you know someone who has been quietly carrying this same pain, share this message with them. They may be waiting for the reminder that they are not broken. They are deeply loved. Now receive my peace, receive my comfort, receive my unfailing love. I am with you today. I will be with you tomorrow, and I will never leave your side.